Young people take the initiative in HIV awareness.
Your views on legalizing homosexuality. And are young people more at risk than others when it comes to HIV?
From across the Caribbean.
This is Live Up the Show.
Alex?
Yeah. Oh, hi. Hi there. Hi, Regan. Live Up. I was just actually on YouTube looking at the Live Up videos.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Very, very cool. You know, peer pressure is one of those things that can really help change the course of the virus. Those of you who understand the consequences of HIV will be the ones responsible for actually spreading the message instead of spreading the virus.
Well, that's it, you know what I mean? If peer pressure can work negatively, like you feel the pressure to do these bad things because your friends are doing them, surely it can work the other way as well.
Exactly.
Well, in Grenada, it's the youth who are pushing the HIV initiative. Amanda John has the story, and Reagan caught up with her recently.
Hey Amanda, it's so good to see young people coming together to actually make a difference. How did you find out about what they were doing?
Okay, well, as we at Brainstorm Productions from time to time do our own in-house HIV programming, we keep in touch with the groups on the ground that are actively working in the communities. So naturally, when they had their project idea, they contacted us, and we were really excited about getting involved and highlighting the initiative that they're doing.
Tell me, what do you think will be the long-term effects of their efforts?
Well, Reagan, we certainly hope that their efforts will influence some sort of behavioral change in our communities, especially among the young people, because we know there are a lot of taboo issues still out there and a lot of myths and misconceptions about HIV. We really hope that they continue and get the support that they need to keep these programs going so that they can affect change.
I understand Grenada's AIDS Commission is shut down. Who is stepping in now to fill that need?
Well, as the National AIDS Commission had closed a couple of years ago, we found that there hasn't really been any department as such filling the void. A lot of the work still rests on the Ministry of Health, and they rely heavily on the non-governmental organizations and groups to assist them in the work. But really, the void hasn't been filled.
Amanda, thank you. It was really great chatting with you. Here is Amanda's report.
Grenada, the southernmost eastern Caribbean island, a population just over 103,000, considered a Christian country. But like many other small island states of the OECS, Grenada struggles to record data on key population groups and implement effective community outreach programs that will help stop the spread of the HIV epidemic.
Grenada's first recorded HIV case in 1984 saw a swift health sectoral response with the establishment of a National AIDS Task Force and later the National Infectious Diseases Control Unit, NICU, in the Ministry of Health.
Other line ministries were created to help develop a national strategic plan and manage and support HIV programs. But the global economic downturn in 2009 resulted in their closure and a significant decrease to financial assistance from donor organizations. Community outreach HIV programs began to diminish while new HIV cases continued to be reported.
We do a lot with regards to providing treatment and care for people who are infected with HIV. The numbers, now that's a critical thing, have increased a lot. So whereas it was, just the other day we reflected on the fact that we had about just over 20 people 10 years ago, 11 years ago. Now on our record, on our books as it were, people who we see fairly regularly, it's approaching 200.
With the closing of the World Bank project, the focus or all of the work has been shifted to the Ministry of Health. We still have a NAC, National AIDS Council, but it was imperative that we work together with other partners to get the work done.
Grenada needed a revamp on its community outreach programs that would especially target the group found to have the highest number of HIV cases, 15 to 34-year-olds and men. GrenAIDS is a member organization recently formed out of a 2010 World AIDS Day committee. The organization is making strong strides with its innovative community outreach programs geared at reaching the most affected groups.
Grenades is let's say, a dynamic organization that aims to educate and empower young persons in Grenada on HIV and STIs. We are comprised of CBOs, that is community-based organizations, NGOs, non-governmental organizations, ministries, and also we have persons from the National HIV and AIDS Directorate on the board. Last year, we had a number of activities. We had flash mobs that speak to testing. We had flash mobs on stigma and discrimination. And we had community outreach where we go to a selected community and distribute condoms and tell them what it is for different condoms, the dental dams, and give them a general education. And that was well received by the community.
Grenades is also working with media representatives like Brainstorm Productions to help create new TV programs to reach vulnerable populations. There has been a general increase of HIV cases from 2001 to 2011. By September 2012, there were 17 new reported cases. Though strategies have changed over the years, HIV continues to be a challenge requiring more stringent responses to the epidemic.
What we've noticed is that there is a lot of issues throughout the community, especially the issue of stigma and discrimination, as well as increased HIV transmission. And what we found is that when we go to communities, there is a lot of myths, there's a lot of taboos, and there's a lot of stigma attached to HIV and those STIs and other relevant issues. So it is very important for us to engage persons within the communities. What HOPE has recently embarked upon is an initiative funded by the Caribbean Treatment Action Group, which involves going into the communities and educating persons through drama. And we hope to do that through 7 communities in the rural areas, which we hope will help to educate persons and to reduce the level of stigma and discrimination against people living with and affected by HIV.
Community outreach programs have been always the most effective intervention in changing behaviors of persons. It's when you develop one-on-one rapport with persons, you're able to find out where they are, answer any questions that they have, and guide them through the process of behavior change.
We are grateful, very grateful for the support, the encouragement, and the involvement of other people, not just other ministries, land ministries, but the NGOs and the faith-based organizations. They have been doing things on their own, and we encourage that.
With continued development and execution of successful intervention programs within the community, there is hope for stopping the spread of HIV. This is Amanda John in Grenada for Live Up the Show.
Part of living is going out and making good informed decisions. This is the most powerful defense in my mind of our generation. We have a serious problem with AIDS, we have a serious problem with a lot of things that young people are dealing with. But we have to be the one that create the social movement that change it. We have to be the change agent we're looking for. Remember, live up, love, protect, respect.
Live up, shout, live up, shout.
We've been asking around whether you think the laws on homosexuality should be changed. I mean, what do you think it says that the two regions in the world with the highest incidence rates of HIV, Sub-Saharan Africa and the Caribbean, discriminate most against homosexuality?
Well, yes. I mean, in the majority of the countries here in the Caribbean, these are European laws put in place centuries ago with very severe penalties. And judging from your responses on Facebook and on the street, you seem to want to keep it that way.
But our statistics show when people have to hide their sexual orientation, the virus spreads and flourishes. Here's what a few of you had to say.
No, not one bit. You know, them thing that, let us be real, you know, homosexuals, they acting like they're a race of people, you understand me? They're not a race of people, they're normal people just like me and you, everyday people. You know, you have alleged homosexuals in the parliament, they're getting normal jobs, they're at school, they're doing normal things just like normal people. So I don't think why them feel them need this one bag of power like they were black people and slavery ship. No, them are normal people, so nothing no need for change. You understand me? You're in a country where sensitive towards them thing. Therefore work with the country, you understand me? Nobody feel say you're big and bold and hype and go do outlandish things where you don't need for do them. Keep them things in your yard.
I'm not too familiar with the homosexuality laws in Trinidad per se, but I do know that discrimination against homosexuals are pretty high in Trinidad. A lot of it, I believe, has to do with the fact that you have some people that believe that homosexuality is a choice. Some people believe it's not. So once you have different opinions in that, you will always have gray areas. My personal belief is that you should not discriminate against anyone. It's not our place.
I do believe the laws that discriminate against homosexuals should be changed, because if you look at it, it's really in parallel with, if you go back to slavery, those same arguments. So if you can't give me a point, like a good basis to it where you should discriminate against these particular group of people, change it, because then you're just harming people, really.
As a Christian, I am against homosexuality, so I would not really like to see it in Jamaica any at all, and it's already very prominent, so I don't really agree with homosexuality at all.
I think that any law that discriminates against any kind of social group should be banned, yes.
I personally think that the laws should change a bit towards the discrimination of homosexuality, just a bit, because in Trinidad, we really don't have any kind of understanding or there's no awareness of laws that surround homosexuality. All we know in the Caribbean and obviously in Trinidad, don't talk about it, don't mention it. You know, if you're a homosexual, you just do your do, you know. Why I say that it should be changed a bit is because life is different in this age and everything is not so black and white anymore.
I personally believe so. What goes on in a person's bedroom, in the sanctity of their bedroom, I think is their personal business. I have a problem with people that tend to make reference to the Bible and say, oh, no, it's wrong. And then on the other hand, you have straight people that are doing it too. So one sin is less. So I thought a sin was a sin as a sin. So is it that one sin is graver than the other because, you know, it's not natural, as they say?
With Cover Drive. This band went from a virtual unknown in Barbados to having 3 top 10 hits in the UK, including a #1 with their big hit Twilight. What's been the biggest change in that massive transition?
Oh wow, I think it would definitely have to be the lack of privacy.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, with a lot of success, especially in the music industry, you kind of lose that privacy, and things that you took for granted before, you know, all the success, then just become things you just want back in a way, a little bit.
And
like,
plus, you're in the spotlight now, so you have to watch what you do because people are always looking at you.
Yeah, so you can't go to the supermarket without my lipstick on, you know. It's just
Have
little
a bad
things
hair
like
day,
that.
like, see a man from Cover Drive have a bad hair day. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's definitely a big change for us. But you know, I mean, we are appreciative of the fact that obviously, you know, it means we're getting further, and it means that we're having success.
Twilight peaked at #1 on the iTunes within hours of release. How did that feel?
I mean, it was like a dream come true, if I'm honest. I mean, literally, the year before, we were just in Barbados. I was at school still, doing my CXCs and junk like that. And, I mean, just to see all your hard work pay off and your baby go to the top of the charts, I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
It's crazy. We actually lost our voices when we were in the studio. When we found out, we actually screamed. Probably shouldn't say that as guys, but it was crazy.
Totally unexpected, and we actually sounded like a whole girl band because we were all screaming. We were screaming so loud that.
What's the secret to the success of Cover Drive so far?
Well, for us, we'd have to say it's hard work and determination, and you know, keeping your morals in check.
Being prepared for sure. You know, we definitely surround ourselves with a great team. I think you can't get anywhere without having a great solid team who has the same vision as you, and I think that's a big part of success in whatever you do, but especially in what we do. And we couldn't be where we are today if we didn't have, you know, Thierry's mom and dad as managers, you know, surrounding us and guiding us. And
You need a good team around you as well, most definitely.
You mentioned keeping your morals in check. Now, you guys have traveled around and hung out with the likes of Rihanna, Kelly Clarkson, global stars, Linda Perry. What's the rock and roll lifestyle like, and how have you taken to it?
I mean, our experience of the rock and roll lifestyle has honestly been one of, I mean, high professionalism, because when we come in contact with these huge stars, the Rihannas, the Kelly Clarksons, they're really professional, they're serious about their art, and you know, while we're on tour, it's just about promoting our music and all of that, and it's really work, and they're working too. So that's the side of the rock and roll life that we've been, exposed to.
And then there's the tour bus.
Yeah.
The support acts don't go on. I mean, we've been on a few tours. Now with Kelly Clarkson and Rihanna, a different tour, and you look at the tour bus and be like, okay, yeah. There's a party going on in there, but
Also, rock stars know how to eat. They have so many snacks in their rooms. We actually it's like supermarket shopping when we go to any tours. Like, yeah, just give me that.
That's the best part, honestly. That's one of the biggest perks, is the amount of free food you can get, and it's like that's the best part of a rock and roll lifestyle.
Definitely.
And you know, we know that, you know, there's another side to the rock and roll lifestyle, and sometimes when you're a support act as well, there are other support acts and they do their own thing, and you kind of witness it. But we're very careful, and we surround ourselves with people who will keep us kind of grounded and focused. And so for us, is we play our gigs, and then, you know, we go back to the hotel and we get rested for the next one, because it's all work for us, really.
Thanks, Amanda. Thank you, T-Ray, Barry, Jamar. Thank you to Cover Drive, a band that really is embodying to live up, love, protect, respect, and one of the biggest pop bands in the world.
No child from 2012 onwards should be born with HIV. Even if you infected with HIV, you're still a human being. They're still living, they're still breathing, so we gotta love and respect them. Darren Sammy here endorsing the Live Up campaign. 2012, from now on, no Caribbean child born with HIV. We're moving forward, we're educating our people, and it's all about love, protect, respect.
Live up, shout, live up, live
Live Up the Show is seen across the region on member stations of the Caribbean Broadcast Media Partnership, including these in the North Caribbean, in Bermuda on Inter-Island Communications, in the Bahamas on ZNS, in Anguilla on KCN and ATV3, in the Cayman Islands on CITN, and in Jamaica on CTV, CBM, JNN, Carimac TV, NNN, RETV, PBCJ, RJR, and the Sportsmans.
Here are a few of the answers we got when we asked, how would you react if a friend or relative told you that they were HIV positive?
I've had the experience, however, to have a family member who became HIV positive, passed away, but it was a real shock and sensitive issue that we had to deal with, but we overcame. It wasn't something like, oh my God, it was just, this person is in need and we need to reach out and be a family.
Well, you see, at first, I'd be kind of shocked, but then afterwards, I just get used to it, treat them like normal.
The first thing that I would want to do is really go to talk to them to see what's up. I mean, my first reaction will also be, how could I help them?
Sympathetically, because I have been taught, or I have been trained to understand how the disease works and the stigma attached, so I wouldn't want any of my family members to be subjected to that kind of treatment.
Why I would surprise still, but I would cope with it and live with it, because that sickness, they do not buy it.
Once I get a hold of my emotional response, I would try to be as supportive as possible.
Initially it would be shock, but I would try to be more understanding, and it's trying to ask me to explain so many feelings at the same time. It's almost impossible to picture somebody having HIV, something that terminal, like that big.
I wouldn't react in any manner that would basically make them feel, what's the word I'm looking for? As in different from anybody else. As in they're persons just like us. It's not airborne or anything that's contagious by air, so I don't think that you should treat anyone differently.
I'd probably be extremely shocked, and I think I tried to help them and be as supportive as possible.
I think my initial reaction would be shocked, of course, but in every way I try to make that person as comfortable as possible, because it's a very real thing that's happening in the world today, and the last thing I would want to experience have had in me would have to be segregated or put out by members of my family or a close friend or people that I'm used to being with.
Well, I'm glad to see everyone's okay with it. I wonder where the people are who would freak out.
Well, there are lots of families right now who are currently dealing with it.
Well, the UN AIDS 2012 Global Report that was issued on World AIDS Day, they took a look at a few of the key age groups with the highest new infections. And unfortunately, adolescence is one of those groups with, most at risk from HIV.
On behalf of Americans everywhere, welcome to the 2012 International AIDS Conference. And thank you for your commitment to achieving an AIDS-free generation here in America and around the world.
While funding research and drugs in relation to HIV are critical, and the US pledge of $150 million is welcome news for HIV advocates, an unfortunately forgotten element of the advocacy drive is adolescents living with HIV. It is estimated that 20% of all global infections are adolescents. In Jamaica, according to the Minister of Health, Dr. Fenton Ferguson,
all the surveys that we have been doing is showing that the young women 15 to 24 are at the highest risk. In fact, they are the only group that is higher in terms of AIDS than male presently, and in terms of smoking, it is the same female 15 to 24 that is showing up as a high risk in terms of smoking. So it is a great concern to the government.
the situation is even more disconcerting when you realize that across the region, 1 in every 10 girls is having sex with a man 10 years or more their senior. According to Dr. Messiah,
this is data from 2006. So these 15-year-old girls are now early 20s. By 15, this is the sexual activity. Likely to have had sex. And that statistic doesn't go down over time, it goes up. And what you see here, which is really interesting, is the effect of education. And across our region, you've got lots of people who aren't completing primary school, or barely, and some secondary. But that's the effect of education, and that's just from Guyana alone.
With these numbers and the reality that adolescents are in fact, by virtue of their age and stage, one of the most at-risk groups for HIV, an invariable question is, why is more focus not being placed on supporting adolescents living with and without HIV? All adolescents encounter major changes and paradoxes. They are forced to grapple with issues of identity, self-esteem, anxiety, depression, their sexuality, and so many other things, plus the general stigmatization of adolescents by society. These major issues are multiplied 100-fold in the life experience of an adolescent living with HIV. They struggle in terms of the medication regime, its side effects, and the fatigue of constantly dealing with their condition. Additionally, their very real fears for the future, accessing education, employment, relationships, love, and ultimately happiness. It is within this context that there is an urgent need to provide psychosocial support for adolescents living with HIV. It is easy to get caught up on the numbers, the research, the politics of HIV, and forget the people, their hopes, their dreams, people living with HIV, especially adolescents. I am Devon Hunter reporting for CBMP and CVM.
Thank you so much, Devon. We really appreciate it. You know, kids these days, they have it really tough. We really have to get back to becoming much more supportive in our society.
Yes, more of a community. Well, you've now got all the tools. You just need to know you can reach out. There's always someone out there in a similar or the same position as you. There's always someone to help. Live up. Love, protect, respect.
Alex, we're on.
No, you're not going to read that line like that. Hey, Alex, we're on, surely.
Sub-Saharan Africa, and mother, that's not my line, that's your line! Oh God, your shade is miraculous. Can you just stay there while the camera rolls?